Oh, it worked. Hey, welcome back to welcome back to Grit Gym. I'm gonna get one of these going, and then we're gonna jump into it. Today we're talking about relationships, we're talking about health, we're talking about wealth, and we're talking about time with Rachel from Rise Coffee. And the quote that we're basing this on is a John Wooden quote. For those of you that don't know, I'm a big fan of John Wooden. I don't know if fan is the right word, but I think he's a really smart guy. He's worth listening to, very wise. And he said, nothing works unless you do. So nothing works unless you do, but I would contend that most things do work if you work at them. And when we're talking about... Let's see if Facebook works. And we're back! All right, guys, so we got kicked off there, and now we're back. So nothing works unless you do. Health, wealth, relationships, time. I would contend that if you work at it and you improve every single day, that good things will happen. So if you work on if you make the intention that you're going to work hard to improve today, that you're going to focus on the present priority, be right here, right now, and you're going to be a positive influence to those around you, there is no way that you cannot succeed at what you're setting out to do. So what do you think about the topic that we're talking about today? What's your intro? What do you want to add to it before we get going?
Well, I mean, it's pretty important to start the day off in a positive attitude. That's part of it.
That's something that Rachel's really good at. She doesn't even think. She just wakes up with a smile on her face, and it's kind of amazing. But
I mean, yeah, taking like even 5 minutes of time to like get your head straight.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard when you're like rushing out the door. But like if you're rushing to get ready,
I think if you're rushing out the door, you didn't wake up early enough.
Yeah, you didn't wake up early enough. Like you need like some sit down time.
You need some time to get your shit together.
Like either drinking a cup of coffee or I don't know, just like sitting and looking out the window. Just even that, something super simple.
Something to get
taking
your head
an
wrapped
extra
up.
long shower.
That's
what I like to do. Sometimes if it's too warm though, you can kind of wear yourself out.
Yeah, but the reason we do that, the reason we do this show together on here is everybody's got their health journey, right? Everybody's got their exercise journey, their nutrition journey, their mindset journey, their recovery journey going. Everybody has the same 4 biggest resources: health, wealth, relationships, time. We come on to do this show so that you can get you and your partner on the same page, going for the same health journey. Because I would guess that there's a lot of people out there, we hear this all the time, is that I wish my husband would come and do this, I wish my wife would come and do this, I wish my brother or whoever you're in a relationship with, that they would come and do that, join you in your health journey. So that's why we do this show, is to try to talk about those sort of things. So nothing works unless you do. Let's go into the health categories. So exercise, nutrition, mindset, recovery. What happens if you just expect exercise to just magically happen?
It's not going to magically happen.
It
doesn't just like come. It's not going to find a place in your schedule unless you find a place in your schedule for it.
So this is something that, I mean, both of us have struggled with this before. Everybody struggled with it at some point, where it's really hard to get in the gym. It's really hard to get your stuff done. What did you do to overcome your...
Well, the scheduling thing, I mean, I don't have kids, and I can't even imagine how that even works.
That would change
the
game.
But I can't imagine that I'd figure out a way to stick it in there. It has to be like every Monday I go to the gym, or like if there's a workout in the morning, I woke up 8 minutes before a workout. And
Today?
I crawl, 8 minutes.
Today she did.
I don't know why I set my alarm at 8:22. But at 8:22, I got up and I was.
It wasn't 8:22. Your phone was going off, and I hit the snooze button for you. Went in and put it on the dresser beside the bed, so that when it would go off after the snooze, you would wake up.
Yeah.
But it was going off.
Okay, so either way, it was a lot harder to get in the mindset of going to work out. But I knew that if I just went back to bed, I was going to work out. So.
But you still went.
But I willed myself into it. So I know every Tuesday, Thursday morning I work out in the morning at 8:30. And if I miss it, then I'm going to be pissed at myself all day. Just really like, oh yeah, you sucked in. You suck. I'm not pissed off, but I'm just like, it it
you're
detracts you from what
you're
you
disappointed
want to
in
be
you.
doing.
You didn't do what you set out to do, and yeah, I get that.
So instead of just like, oh, if I have some extra time at the end of the day, I'm gonna go to the workout. No, it doesn't work like that. Like you have to say, oh, this is what I'm gonna do on this day.
How many people do you know that do that? That they're like, oh well, if I have time, I'll do it.
People that don't have jobs or lives.
And how often?
Because you never have extra time at the end of the day.
No.
You can always find something else to do.
Yeah. So like for like me, like I think like either you're gonna make the time, or it's not gonna happen because you're never gonna find the time. It's not like sporadically you have an extra 15 minutes. Like you probably are gonna waste that. Maybe not waste, but you're gonna spend that not thinking about.
Yeah.
What you could have done with it.
I think that it also helps that there is a set time, and it's not just like, oh, I'm going to the gym and I'm gonna do like a workout.
Oh, you mean like at Grit, like how it's like at 8:30 or at 5:30 or at 6:30? That's your time to work out. You go and then you have a certain number of exercises that you're pushed through, and then you're gone. Rather than going to a big box gym where it's like, here's a mirage of bullshit. Go explore. And you could be there for 5 minutes or 3 hours. Was that too long of an explanation?
Yeah. But it's easier to kind of be distracted and not walk in straight into the gym and get it done unless you have like no time at all. But usually when you go to the gym, you like go in, put all your stuff away, maybe like look at your phone for a little bit, and then maybe start doing some workout stuff. I don't know what that means, but it's a lot easier to be distracted.
What workout stuff means?
Well, I know workout stuff, but like you say in your head, oh, I was at the gym for an hour, but how much of it were you actually working out? Sometimes it's not at all.
Yeah, sometimes like 5 minutes.
Like when I used to go to whatever that place was, some of the people would be on their phones for the entire time.
Yeah.
They'd do a set and whatever, I don't know, do some stretches, and then they'd be on their phone for 10 minutes.
When I used to work in a big box gym, I had like categories of people that would come in the doors, and there was the girl that wanted to get ogled. There was the person who, the guy that wanted everybody to stare at them while they were grunting in the corner. There was the guy that was the over sweater, you know, that would just always like, it was like stay away from that guy because you're just going to get sprayed. No, they usually didn't stink. They just like would just. There was like categories of people that would come in, and there was only just a few people that would come in, be very efficient with their workout. Most of the time, they were just kind of experimenting and waiting for someone to come and talk to them.
Yeah.
It was their social time, which is nothing wrong with that.
It goes into the time category too. Like when you're here, you kind of get your workout done and then you leave.
You're extremely efficient.
I mean, you can sit around and like chat for a while. And but like there's no in between. It's not like, oh, let's take like a 10-minute break and come back. It's like, oh, 2 minutes.
No.
And then
some people try to do that sometimes, but that's where us as coaches have to step in and be like, hey, it's time to go.
Yeah, you gotta be
because you want like making your workout longer doesn't make it better.
No.
It actually like if you make your if you take a 1 hour workout and you make it 2 hours, you just basically shouldn't.
Don't you want your heart rate to be at a certain?
Depends on what we're going for, but yeah.
I mean, I hear you talk about that.
There's a lot of different things. There's heart rate, there's fatigue, there's muscle fatigue, there's we want a certain amount of rest time between certain exercises because like a plyometric, you'd want a lot of rest time in between each. Like let's say you're doing box jumps, we would never want to get like a cardiac component in a box jump.
Because you could fall.
Because you could fall. Yeah, you could fall. You could.
You're just so tired and you're jumping up on the box.
Your technique sucks. You're doing a highly technical exercise.
And that's another thing.
Stupid.
It's like you don't want to shrink down your workout into like say you're just trying to pack everything in and you want to pack in a 45-minute workout into a 15-minute workout. Like that's not going to really benefit.
You mean like
either.
just to slam it out?
They were talking about doing the crunches this morning. They were saying they try to do as many crunches in as little amount of time as they possibly can.
I like this hand motion.
But that doesn't do anything for me. It just makes me kind of...
There's a time and a place for everything, but that is few and far between, especially crunches, because crunches are just kind of a stupid exercise. We know that the most efficient way to create a disc herniation is in cadaver spines is to put an flexion extension position is to
Disc herniation.
a disc herniation. It's where the nucleus of anyway, it's an injury. It's a back injury. It's really bad.
So it's the start of a back.
Yeah, the best way to create a disc herniation, and any herniation is really bad for your back, is to flex and extend the spine.
Probably the biggest injury that people.
One of the most common, yeah, because there's just so many different things going on, and people move so poorly, and just time. Time is there's basically three: trauma, repetition, or time spent in one position for too long are the three different ways you get injured, and two of those are very common for your spine: to be stuck in a poor position for a long period of time and to just move poorly. Trauma is pretty rare on a spine, but what about nutrition? What about like nothing works unless you do? How do you put more work into your nutrition? How do you put more work into your recovery? How much do you put more work into your mindset? I think these are things that you got to do every day. So like mindset, you do your one life planner. So you set your intentions, just like we were talking about up front. You focus on the present priority, be a positive influence, work hard to improve. You ask yourself the two questions: are you going to be all in today? Are you going to be all
nutrition? Kind of just stay away from convenience.
Oh, is that your strategy?
Yeah. Try not to. Depending on the night, sometimes I get out late and I'm just like, okay, this is the one night we'll get something to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly.
Or just like I kind of, when I do make food, I try to I try to make more than we would eat in a regular sitting so that you could have it for lunch the next day.
Which
and you don't have to.
Super appreciative of.
Or just, I don't know. Not relying on last minute options.
Last minute options
usually
are killers.
Last minute options are eating out.
Yeah.
Or
and this
eating
is
junk.
And not just for we're not talking about McDonald's there. Like we're not talking about like McDonald's or Subway, like really terrible, crappy, awful options that shouldn't exist. We're talking about like the frozen pizzas and the
even
pastas and there's nothing wrong with frozen pizza to a certain extent, and there's nothing wrong with pasta to a certain extent.
If you eat it 5 nights a week, then
exactly.
there is something wrong.
Then there is something wrong. So if you don't put the work, like that's it. Like if you don't put the work into your nutrition, what's going to happen?
You're gonna
get the convenient food. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna reach for something that's quick, or like the store bought like meals. Those are good, and they can be good options, but like not every day. You want something fresh. You want something that's not full of fake junk. Yeah.
I grew up with 2 workaholic parents that had 4 kids, and all spread out over a very long range of time. So, and Rachel grew up with a single mom that had 4 kids and was going to school, so and had like 3 jobs all the time. So all of our parents basically, like we needed to fend for ourselves a little bit. So there was a lot of both of us had Hot Pockets was one of my go-tos.
Apples.
Because like you're 7 years old, you're not like who's going to use the oven when you're 7? Who's going to allow their kid to use an oven when you're 7 years old? Did you?
I used to make a lot of apple crisp.
Did you really? I would make.
It's so easy.
I knew how to make chocolate chip cookies. That's all I remember knowing how to
make those. I made a lot of toast.
But we've got some experience in the microwave scenario, or toaster ovens.
Yeah.
From when we were kids, so it's kind of an interesting thing looking back now. I don't know. What do you guys think your favorite go-to convenience food is? Maybe that should be what we put in the comment section. But nothing works with it. What about like recovery? Like if you're not going to bed every night at somewhat the same time. So if you're used to going to bed at 10:15 to 10:45, like in that time frame, versus going to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and then going to bed at 9 o'clock the next night and then going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and then going back to.
But yeah, try to have like for us, I think like our time when we were like, wow, we need to go to bed is probably like midnight.
Oh my God.
Like way past our bedtime.
Way past.
So like usually we can do 11 o'clock on a pretty regular basis.
11 is on the late side. If we're in bed by 10:30, then
which that never happens.
That does too.
Like on a rare.
I've been keeping track the last like 2 weeks, and we've hit 10:30 almost each time.
Really?
Yeah.
Good job.
I know. 10:30.
But I mean,
we even got
everybody's schedule is different. Like sometimes you don't get done with work until 9, and then we're eating at 9:30, and then we don't want to go to bed right away.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I'm not. I don't just finish my meal and like.
It's a lot better now that I'm not working, that I'm not waking up at 4 a.m. For the first 2 or 3 years of our relationship, I was waking up at 4 a.m. But this is the beginning of a business, it's what I had to do. So I was waking up at 4 a.m. I'd be in the gym by 5. I'd start training people at 5:30. I'd come home, eat breakfast with her at 10, do all the other businessy type stuff, and then be back at work at 1, be home by 9. Then I wanted to actually spend some time with her, not just hey, it's time to go to bed. Plus, I needed to unwind anyway.
So the recovery part was we eat dinner.
Negligent back then, and now
and then we'll watch a show before we go to bed. It's like a downtime. Recovery.
I do think there's an interesting thing going around on the internet right now about people are judging people for how they blow off steam or how they however they use their downtime, however they use their free time. There's it's a very judgmental sort of deal where it's
why?
I don't know.
It's their time. It's not.
I think it kind of goes into the relaxation thing. When people they say, well, that person's lazy. Well, how do you know they're lazy? Maybe they're relaxing.
Okay, well, at my job, I'm standing up all day. I'm walking around all day. I'm talking to people all day. So if I want to just sit down and be quiet, that's not really a bad thing.
I don't think so.
Some people are in an office all day, sitting all day long, talking to no one. And so at the end of the night, they might want to go out and have a few drinks with their friends.
Yeah.
It's very
I know.
dependent on what you're doing with your time.
Okay, so we kind of covered the health thing. What about in wealth, relationships, time? I think time, if you don't plan out your day, then what are you doing? For me, if you're not planning out your day to a certain degree that at 12:30 we know that we're doing this on Tuesdays. If you don't have a plan for what you're doing that day, I think that there's a big problem there. When it comes to your wealth, there's a few things that I think everybody should do. You got to get to a point where you're putting away 40% of your income every single month. You have to try to abate taxes as much as you possibly can. I'm a big hater on the government. I think taxes are payroll tax is basically extortion. Income tax is theft. It's legalized theft. But if there's some things that you can do in the tax category, like giving to charities or giving to a public institution like a school, that you can you get tax forgiveness for doing those things. So instead, you either are going to give your 30% or 50% or 60%, in my case, since I'm a self-employed person, to the government, or you're going to give it to the place that you choose. So that's giving back. And then you also want to, I think, you want to try to grow your income. You don't want to try to save your way into wealth. And you do that by serving people. That's my morality around it. If you're growing your income, it has to be because you're serving people. So, but none of those work unless you do. Unless you do. Do you have anything to add to that? I wanted to just brush the wealth thing quick and move on to relationships.
Yeah.
That is more your area.
Wealth, or finding tax breaks with the network marketing.
You can, any business. Network marketing is just the easiest business to get into. If you're in a network marketing, if you are a business owner, if you're just an employee, it's really hard to get leverage from your taxes. So you want to start some kind of business so that you can start leveraging your mileage, your time, your resources, different things like that. So network marketing can be a way to do that because it doesn't take anything to start the business. You can pay $70 and be part of a network marketing company, and then that just saves you on taxes. But you still have to work at all of those things. None of those work unless you do. But what about what I really wanted to get into is relationships today. Okay. How many people, so there's a few different people I'm thinking of. The people who get into a relationship and they think, and they say, well, we don't work, and so they break up. Or they say, or they get to a point in the relationship where they don't know if they should get married or break up. So they're like, they try to get married to save the relationship, or they have kids to save the relationship, or they get into a marriage where they know that the other side doesn't want kids, but they still join them in that marriage even though they do want kids, thinking that the other person will change. So there's a lot of weird things around the marriage topic and the relationship topic that I think is really interesting.
Well, there's a lot of bad examples out there for, like, I don't know. It's almost like become a tradition to just get married.
Oh yeah, it totally is.
It's not really like a next step kind of thing. It's just like, oh, this is what we do now.
Oh, like going from junior high to high school. This is just what you do. You just get married.
And it's not about the actual relationship sometimes. I mean, I think that they do really care about each other, but that's not a reason to get married.
What is a reason to get married? And
taxes.
Financial? Is that the only reason to get married?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just...
You can say that if you want. That's what I think.
But that's not what I'm saying.
Really,
I'm
you don't...
saying, like, you should... I don't think it's looked into enough. It's become, like, a tradition.
You mean thinking
like
critically?
It's expected. It's like pressured on. Like how many guys have felt pressure to propose to a girl?
You mean from the girl
how
or
many
from your
times
parents
was
or
it
from
the
society?
guys? It wasn't even the guy's idea. It was just pressured, or like the family members or the friends, or it's just kind of becoming a weird.
I don't know if it's always been that
always
way,
has been.
But really, the idea that you're going to marry for love is an extremely new thing in humanity. Like even like maybe even like less than 100 years. The idea that you married for love, like in past years, marriages for alliances.
That makes sense.
From a logical perspective.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it doesn't make sense for the relationship, obviously, but if it's to create alliances, it kind of does make sense.
Yeah, well, because it's in most religions, it's not a sacrament, and you don't need to like the one I get a lot. The one that we get a lot is, what about kids? Like, what if you have kids? Don't you need to be married to have kids? Well, there's people out there all over the world that are divorced right now who have kids, and they're raising those kids just fine.
There's nothing wrong with getting married. It's just I think it's becoming like an idea, and it's just not it's not taken seriously.
Yeah, like if someone wants to get married, that's fine with me, but like don't say it's for love, don't say it's religion reasons.
Do it for yourself, like, not for anybody else.
Well, yeah, that too. What about some of the ways? What are some of the ways that we've worked on growing our relationship? Because like relationships don't. I think people think that that marriage is like the end point. They're like, oh, this is the greatest day of your life. And like that's really sad if your wedding day is the greatest day of your life.
Okay.
What do you think? You should disagree.
A relationship coach, or just like a...
You mean to have a coach to help you in your relationship?
Not a coach, what?
I like coach.
Okay,
What's the matter with a coach? Like a relationship coach. I think that like we did that very early on. Mm-hmm. Like 5 dates in, we're like, hey, we're gonna go to a marriage counselor.
Well, it really helps with clarity and kind of seeing it from someone else's perspective. Because if you're just talking to your friends every time you get in a fight with your boyfriend, they're not the person you should be talking to.
Well, they can't. Like, how are they going to give you...
First of all, they're super biased towards you.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
They're only getting one side of the story. And third of all, they don't want to see you hurt. So they're going to give you sometimes not their full opinion.
Yeah, because you'll always be the good guy and I'll always be the asshole.
They're trying to be your friend.
Guy.
They're not trying to be the guy's friend or the girl's friend. They're trying to give their 2 cents and make you feel better in that moment. Not like try to get your mind turning.
Yeah,
it's very rare that I get relationship advice from my friends where they're disagreeing with me. You know what I mean?
No.
Like they're usually it's like appeasing your feelings. I feel like this because he's so mean. They rarely are just like, you're being an idiot, right? I try to do that whenever someone is coming at me with like they need advice. I try not to say, "Oh, you're right. That sucks." I try not to like pat their back. I'm just like, "Shut up! Stop crying! Like, what are you doing?" I hate when I see that because you look so pitiful. First of all, and second of all, like that's not making the situation better.
No.
It's gonna happen again.
No,
because
it's just
you were just justified in feeling that way.
Yeah, it just reinforced her.
You're not giving them
nonsense
criticism and a constructive criticism. You're just.
And no matter what, like it could be 99% responsibility on one side and 1% responsibility on the other side, but it's still a shared thing. There's still a shared thing there because there's always if there's a relationship there, then there's two. Like it's not just going to be a one. But so we got a relationship coach, and so that you weren't just always being appeased by your friends. What about the 36? Like, I thought the 36 questions were awesome. I don't know what you thought about them. The 36 questions were a thing. They're like really cliche and cheesy. But some of them are really interesting because you learn things about your partner that you would have never thought of. I'm trying to think of one of the questions now. This has been a few years since we did this.
It's like really far out questions that you would never
just say.
It's like 21 questions on a first date, but it's like deep kind of.
We didn't do it on a first date, but it's just one of the exercises that we've done along the way. But I think that that's important, like to exercise in your relationship, not like do exercise like that kind of exercise, but also what the 36 questions are. You do 12 questions, and then you do 4 minutes of eye gazing. So you just lock eyes with the other person, and you just hold that.
That's so awkward. It's just like 4 minutes of eye gazing.
But you can talk. You can do whatever during that 4 minutes. And then you do another 12 questions, and you eye gaze. And you do another 12 questions, and you eye gaze.
You were able to talk while we did it.
Maybe not. Maybe you weren't.
I think it was supposed to be quiet and then just staring at each other, just looking into each other's eyes. I don't know. 4 minutes is a long time.
4 minutes was a while, but it was interesting because like you go through these.
Yeah, it's pushing the boundary of what you've already done.
If you Google, what is it, 36 questions relationships or something like that, it'll probably pop up what those questions are. I forget. I think it was this relationship coach, and I don't remember where from, but she wrote this article, and I read it, and I was like, let's try this. Let's go for this. And it was kind of an interesting thing. But this is probably like maybe 3 years ago now. And you just ask these 12 questions to the eye gazing, ask 12 questions to the eye gazing, ask 12 questions to the eye gazing. And it's really interesting where you come out on the other side. So there's 36 questions. That's one way to practice, one way to exercise. I hear a lot of people talk about trust issues in relationships. I'm always like, I don't think anybody has trust issues. I don't believe that people have trust issues. I think they're full of shit. Because like, if you think about all the crazy things that you do on a daily basis that you don't even think about. For instance, you drive on a road that has this dotted line. All it is a dotted line between you, and you're driving these vehicles that are 2,000 pounds going over 60 miles per hour directly at each other, and you trust that other person's not going to hit you. I don't think anybody has trust issues.
Unless one time somebody goes over the line.
Yeah, but you just
create a trust issue.
But you could create a trust, like that's what I mean. I think people create their own trust issues. They're like, oh, I'm scared. I'm scared. I have trust issues.
Well, if something
they
happens
justify it.
I'm not saying maybe in a past relationship, like a certain pattern.
Sure.
Kind of meant something, and something bad happened, and so when they see that pattern again,
that just gets into that fear of not being enough. Oh, I'm scared that I'm not enough, so I'm going to create this. I'm going to say that I have trust issues so that I don't have to bond with this person that I'm in a relationship with.
I don't think you should state I have trust issues. You should definitely not put that out there. It's just, especially in a new relationship or
even a long-term relationship. It's like I don't know if I can trust him. I don't know if I can trust her. Like trust is this like slippery slope because it's based on honesty, and honesty is based on this truth thing, right? And truth is like whose truth? Your truth? My truth? Whose versions or perception of the truth?
I'm getting kind of far out there. I'm losing track.
But you get what I'm saying, because we've talked about truth before. Like most people's truth is that they're not enough to have what they want in life. They're not enough to have their ideal scene, which is another one. Ideal scene is one I think everybody should sit down and do. I don't know if you've done your
goal setting for a relationship.
ideal scene is like you write down exactly what you want in your life. Like what is the most amazing life that you can possibly imagine, and like the most amazing person that you can possibly imagine. And you know, when I didn't do my ideal scene around girls or I did a bunch of them along the way, but I eventually went away from it, and I was just like, no, I could be just pushing away this girl that is just going to be amazing. And then one day my friend was like, well, I did my ideal scene, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I basically made this girl, I finally just like got like really clear with what I wanted. And I like basically created this girl. I was like, I want her to be 6 foot tall, dark wavy hair, brown eyes, hot as fuck, really cool personality, super intelligent, super athletic. I went like chauvinistic. I went shallow. I went deep. I went wide. I went like every direction you could possibly imagine. I wrote like 3 pages out. This is exactly what I want. So I basically created a girl that didn't exist. And then she walked around the corner, and I was like, damn, those legs. You want to see Rach blush? I can keep going. Anyway, what else do you
have? Being clear.
Clarity, I think, is a huge, that's like something that takes so much practice, though.
Yeah, I know, but that's if you don't work.
If you don't. Nothing works unless you do. Yeah.
But yeah, being clear, and you kind of have to learn, because to you it makes sense sometimes, but you learn pretty quickly when you don't get what you want, and because you weren't clear.
Like, do you want to use the Kansas City story to explain clarity?
That?
When we went out to eat?
No.
The tenderloin story?
I'm so tired of talking about that.
What other story is good for that?
So, like, if you...
I can tell you the Kansas City story I'll go into sometime.
Okay, yes.
It's a doozy.
Being clear with what you want and making sure they understand. So you use it with like kids all the time.
I do?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Like with your nephews or something.
Oh, where I ask them, like, I'll catch them doing something that they think that they are not supposed to do. Like that thing. Okay, so this is what I do with like my nieces and nephews, or just any kid in general. It's a little bit harder to do with adults because you feel kind of authoritative about it. I have a hard time. I don't really like being authoritative over adults. But with kids, it's really easy to let them have the lesson. So instead of just allowing them to say sorry, I don't pin it as that they did anything wrong. I want to know what they learned. So I'll ask them, I'll tell them, like, I'll ask them, did you do anything wrong? And they're like, well, I did this, and this wrong. I'm like, all right, what did you learn? And they'll try to get out of it, and they'll be like, they'll try to squirm away from me. And I'll be like, all right, what did you learn? Okay, I know this. What did you learn? I'll keep coming back to what did you learn until they explain to me what it is that they're sorry about and what they learned from it, so that I know that we have a mutual understanding.
So another one is the birthday thing.
The birthday thing?
So like that video I was just watching, she had a good example. So basically a girl or a guy asks the girl what she wants for her birthday, and she says, oh, I don't want anything. But I don't know any girl that would actually want nothing on their birthday.
I know one.
Who?
You're the only one I can. Well, not nothing.
I would never
want that. I don't think that you don't. But you don't like gifts aren't really a thing for either of us.
I love gifts. Maybe I haven't been very clear.
Maybe not been very clear.
But it's like
I'm amazing at striking out on gifts with this one. Anyway, but
there's probably like something to think about that. The reason she said that was why. She said, "Oh, I don't want to feel like greedy or whatever." Why did she say, "I don't want anything"?
So the reason that the girlfriend said, "I don't want anything," was so that she didn't sound greedy?
Something like that. Who knows why she said it? But really, in the end, when she gets nothing, she's going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
They're going to get in a fight.
Yeah.
And it's going to take away from the relationship. And he's going to be very confused. He's going to be like, what the fuck? I would have got you something
Been there.
if you would have said that.
Been there.
But see, you...
Not from you, but...
See, okay, so for you, when it's your birthday and you say you don't want anything...
I mean it. I'm dead serious.
You mean it to, like, the highest degree.
I mean
you want something. You want to... Not, like, a physical thing, but, like, you want...
I want to sit on the couch.
Yeah.
and hang out with you.
Okay.
That's it.
See, that's pretty easy, but I really don't think there's a girl out there that would want absolutely nothing.
No, I don't either.
Maybe
But yeah, I heard that one. I heard that one playing. My first girlfriend ever. I was just not was not a ladies' man. But in college, I remember there was a lot of that kind of thing. Like, oh, I don't need anything, or I don't need big talker. And I'd be like, I'd like believe her. I'd be like, well, I'm a pretty practical guy. What you say is what you like. If you say it, like, don't tell me this and then want that.
Yeah, you can't. Nobody can mind read.
No.
You can pick up on like body language and like you can learn after time how someone actually feels versus how they are
you getting
voicing it.
I'm cutting you off there, but were you done?
I don't know.
Are you getting into you ask for 100% of what you want 100% of the time?
I mean, I wasn't, but it's part of that. It has to do with that.
I always like that one because like if I've heard people say, well, I want them to just want to do it. It's like, or
like in a breakup.
Yeah, exactly. I want you to want to do the dishes, and it's like, why would I want to do the dishes? Yeah,
that's like the funniest part of that movie.
But that's such a lack of clarity though, because to him it's like, why would I want to do the dishes? And to her, she's like, all I want is for you to appreciate that I'm doing the dishes, and for you to want me to be a little like to not have to do them, for you to care about me enough.
I mean, they're both at fault in that argument, and I think they do a good job of like putting that situation, because I'm sure a lot of people have been in that same kind of roundabout argument. Like it just will go back and forth.
It's just a lack of clarity. One side wants one thing, one side doesn't understand it. So it's like she's not talking about him wanting to do the dishes. She's talking about him wanting to an act of an act of kindness. Mm-hmm. So like I think anyway. That's my perception of it.
She wants him to want to do the dishes because it's nice to her.
Yeah.
It helps her out. It shows appreciation for. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nobody actually wants to do the dishes. No, I don't obviously. Want to do the dishes. Who wants to do the dishes?
No, but I really think that's true though. Like, or that's accurate. Is that if ask for what you want 100% of the time, and the people that are like, well, I want him to just do it without thinking about it, or I want him to just do it without me asking. It means more than like, what the hell are you talking about? It doesn't mean more or less. You want me to buy you a rose on my way home from work to be cliche? Then ask me to buy you a rose. Like, what's the difference? You ask me to, or I just do it without you asking me to? Like, me personally, I'm like, yeah. What's the difference? I got you a rose. You want to have sex? Ask. You want me to buy you a rose? Buy. You want something for your birthday? Ask for it. Like, just be very clear with what you want. What?
Nothing. I was thinking about something.
Please do tell.
No, nothing.
What else do you have? We're over time a little bit.
Are we?
A little bit.
Did we miss anything?
I don't know. We missed a lot of stuff. I got so many notes. I got commitment versus obligations. I've got kids and marriage. I've got. But most of what I'm trying to say, and what I think both of us are trying to say, is a lot of people in relationships, they say, well, we don't, like, it's like they just expect the relationship to work. And I don't think that a relationship works.
Like it should just be easy.
Yeah, that it just should be effortless and easy. It's like, give me a fucking break. It should, like, you should put work into your relationship, and then you get all the good stuff. Not you just get all the good stuff without working on it, or you're with the wrong person. I think that's a crazy idea. Yeah. Yeah. What else did you have on there? Mutual planning.
Jumping to conclusions is kind of part of the clarity. Like, not assuming that someone is trying to piss you off, or like if I don't hear from you for a couple of hours, I'm not just like sitting there waiting for a text message.
Oh my god, I hope not.
Yeah, I know girls like that though. Or
I
like
do too. I know guys like that.
Yeah, like the not knowing is kind of scary, so they kind of get into their own head and then they go jump to
they go to these crazy places that are just like, how could you, like, why would you even go there? That doesn't make any logical sense. I mean, it might be accurate. It's possible that it's accurate, but it's
so then you come home and you're just like short with them because I don't know, you think that they're mad at you, I don't know. I see it all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's
fun.
like, maybe you should just ask.
Do you think that almost all of this stuff comes down to a lack of clarity, though? Like,
It's pretty big.
like someone getting married to someone, full well knowing that one side wants kids and the other side doesn't, and the side that does thinks that the other person's going to change their mind at some point, but they don't. So 20 years down the line, they get a divorce and they can't have kids anyway.
Yeah, the
It's too
guy
late.
should have just said, I'm not sure if I want to have kids. Is that okay or is it not? And if it's not okay, then just move on.
Yeah.
If you want kids.
I have certain things that
I mean, you're just wasting your time. If
Yeah.
he is not ready at a certain point in his life, and I don't know.
Well, some people just literally don't
Or
want
she.
kids. I know when we
Yeah.
first met, I was like, I don't know if I want kids or not, and you were like, that's a deal breaker for me. And I thought about it for a while, and I was like, with you, yeah, I'd do the kid thing.
Yeah, I don't know. You have to be in kind of a right mindset too. If you're trying to have kids with someone, you don't want to just.
I see a lot of people,
accidents
a
happen.
lot of people that they get pregnant to save the marriage, like people that I would like call strong acquaintances, or they get married to save the relationship. Oh, it'll be better when we get married. It's like, and good luck with that.
But I mean, every relationship is different. I don't think you should have kids for that reason, but
I think that we're way more similar than we are different, though. Like on the outside, every one of them looks different, but when you really scale back down to the bottom bones of it, I think that we're all so similar. I know that was a lot of so's, but so. Anyway, should we cut it off? If you guys have any comments or questions or anything like that, I would love to get in a discussion with anybody. Relationships I find to be just like a constant, ever-growing thing, because we are relationship people. If you're a mammal, then relationships are built into your DNA, literally, because the difference between, like the reason that mammals branched off from the reptilian brain was that the outsiders of the group got picked off. So the more social you were, the better you were able to survive. So the more social and the more social and the more social eventually led to us,
evolved.
an extreme social being. Mm-hmm. And now we're here. And so we have social, just being social, just basically built into our DNA. So I find relationships super interesting, especially now with social media where it is, because you can actually have conversations with people without having to see their eyes, without having to respond to them, without having to touch. And you hear people that they get really sad after their internet girlfriend breaks up with them. True story. I've heard this happening. I don't understand it, but I've also never had an internet girlfriend, so there's that. But anyway, you guys got comments or questions, please ask, or please say. If it's not something that you feel totally comfortable stating or commenting, send me a message directly, because I love discussing this with people and getting their different perspectives, especially when it disagrees with mine. So, you ready to cut it off? Do you have anything to say?
Sure. No, I'm good.
Okay. Thanks.
I did that without looking.
You're amazing.
I looked in the camera.
Is that cheating?
No.
I don't think so either. All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you. We'll be back tomorrow. See you soon.